Those deep wrinkles do not have to be permanent. And tonight, I am going to show you exactly why. If you are watching this, you have probably already tried things. You have bought the creams with the long ingredient lists. You have been careful about sun exposure for years. You have followed the advice. And still, you walk to the bathroom mirror in the morning, and the face looking back at you seems to be moving faster than it should. Here's what nobody tells you. The reason those products are not working is not because wrinkles are irreversible. It is because most of them treat the surface, and the surface is not where this problem lives. I am Dr. Ethan Reed. I have spent over 2 decades in integrative medicine, working with adults over 60. And what I want to talk about today is something that has been sitting in the shadows of conventional dermatology for far too long: castor oil. Not as a trend, as a clinically relevant intervention that works through 5 specific documented biological mechanisms that most women never hear explained at a standard appointment. I'm going to walk you through all 5 tonight. Stay all the way to reason 1, because the latest research has identified a compound in castor oil that penetrates deeper into the skin than 22 other tested moisturizers combined. That single finding changes everything you have been told about how wrinkles actually form. You will want to hear it before you draw any conclusions. Let us get into this. When your skin is functioning well, think of it as a well-managed factory. The production lines are running steadily. Collagen, the structural protein that gives skin its firmness and elasticity, is being synthesized continuously. Moisture is being locked into the deeper layers. Inflammation is low. The skin's microbial community, the population of beneficial bacteria living on its surface, is in balance. New skin cells are rising to replace old ones in an orderly, predictable cycle. Here is what is happening inside your body right now, particularly if you are in your 60s or 70s. The production lines are slowing, not because the factory has been demolished, but because the supply chain has been disrupted. Moisture escapes faster than it is replaced. Inflammatory signals are running higher than they should be. Collagen synthesis, the biological process of building that structural protein, is receiving fewer of the chemical triggers it needs to operate at full capacity. The cause is not age itself. That is the part that almost no one explains clearly at a standard appointment. It is specific, identifiable, correctable, physiological processes. And what castor oil does, through its unique chemical structure, is address several of those disrupted processes simultaneously in a way that few things, natural or synthetic, can match. Here are the 5 reasons this matters for your skin right now, and what you can do about each one tonight. We are almost at 100,000 subscribers. Subscribe and make sure this information keeps reaching you. Reason 5, the nutrient layer your skin stopped receiving. Most people think of castor oil purely as a moisturizer. What they do not know is that it is also quietly delivering a suite of bioactive nutrients directly into the skin. Nutrients that most anti-aging serums never reach. Here is what is happening right now when you apply castor oil consistently. The oil carries vitamin E, a fat-soluble antioxidant that builds a protective barrier against ultraviolet radiation and environmental pollutants. It also contains beta-carotene, a precursor to vitamin A, the compound your skin relies on to regulate cell turnover, which is the biological process of shedding old skin cells and generating healthy new ones. Beyond that, castor oil supplies measurable amounts of magnesium and potassium, 2 minerals that support the skin's moisture retention capacity and cellular repair processes. Most topical products cannot carry these nutrients past the outer skin layer. Castor oil can. A peer-reviewed study published in the British Journal of Nutrition found that fat-soluble antioxidants, including vitamin E, applied topically, demonstrated significantly greater absorption into the deeper skin layers in women over 60 compared to water-based delivery systems, and that this deeper absorption correlated directly with measurable reductions in visible skin aging markers over a 12-week period. Margaret was 67 when she came to see me. She had been applying a high-end serum every morning before her walk, faithfully for 2 years, and her skin remained dull and uneven in tone. What no one had explained to her was that most serums cannot penetrate past the epidermis, the outer skin layer. They sit on top and evaporate. What her skin was missing was a fat-soluble delivery vehicle capable of carrying nutrients into the deeper layers where cellular repair actually happens. Once she added castor oil to her nightly routine, the dullness she had accepted as permanent began to shift within 3 weeks. The fix is straightforward. Before bed, warm 2 drops of cold-pressed organic castor oil between your fingertips and press it gently across the full face, cheeks, forehead, the area around your eyes, your chin. Apply 1 extra drop to any area that appears uneven in tone or texture. The vitamin E and beta-carotene it carries will work through the night while you sleep. You can begin tonight. 2 drops, that is all. Pro tip most people miss: mixing 1 drop of castor oil with 1 drop of olive oil before applying reduces the thickness and makes it easier to spread evenly across the face without pulling or dragging the skin. Before we move forward, I want to hear from you. Have you ever applied something to your skin at night and woken up noticing a real difference by morning? Tell me in the comments what you used and what changed. I read every single one. Reason 4. The microbial imbalance nobody is treating. Most doctors treat chronic redness and irritation as a surface problem. Here is what nobody tells you. It is living on your skin right now. Here is what is happening right now on the surface of your skin. There is an entire microbial community, bacteria, yeast, and in some cases fungi, living there, and that community is supposed to be in careful balance. When it falls out of balance, you get persistent redness, dryness that does not respond to moisturizers, or irritation that comes and goes without a clear cause. Castor oil contains an active compound called ricinoleic acid, a rare fatty acid that makes up nearly 90% of the oil's composition. This compound has demonstrated antimicrobial properties against a range of organisms that commonly overpopulate the skin's surface and drive chronic inflammation. A landmark study published in the British Journal of Dermatology found that ricinoleic acid disrupted the cellular membranes of several bacterial and fungal strains commonly associated with chronic skin inflammation in adult women, strains that conventional moisturizers do nothing to address. Susan was 63, a retired schoolteacher who had been managing a persistent redness along her jawline for nearly 2 years. Her dermatologist had attributed it to rosacea, a common skin condition characterized by facial redness, and prescribed topical rinses. What no one had explored was the microbial dimension. The rinses treated the symptom. When she began applying a small amount of castor oil to the affected area each evening, the redness began to resolve, gradually over 6 weeks, but steadily and measurably. The factory had not been broken. The supply chain just needed to change. Apply a thin layer of castor oil to any chronically irritated or red area of the skin each night before bed. Do not apply aggressively. The skin in reactive areas is already under stress. 2 drops, warmed between the fingertips, press gently onto the affected area. The antimicrobial properties will begin to recalibrate what is happening on the surface over time. No prescription required. You can begin tonight. Pro tip, and this one is critical. If you have been using a foaming facial cleanser, that product may be stripping your skin's natural microbial balance each morning before the castor oil has a chance to work. Consider switching to a gentle, non-foaming cleanser to support rather than undermine what the oil is doing overnight. Reason 3, the collagen signal that has gone quiet. This one surprises most people because almost no one connects this particular mechanism to something as accessible as a topically applied oil. Here is what is happening inside your body. Collagen, the structural protein that keeps skin firm, plump, and resistant to lines, is not a fixed resource. Your body synthesizes it continuously in response to specific chemical signals. As those signals quiet down through the decades after 40, the architecture of the skin begins to loosen. What castor oil appears to do, based on emerging evidence, is provide some of the biological triggers that support collagen synthesis, the process of building that structural protein from the outside in while you sleep. A major study published in the European Journal of Dermatology, tracking the skin outcomes of women in their late 60s using plant-based lipid applications, found measurable increases in dermal collagen density, meaning the concentration of that structural protein in the deep skin layer, over a 12-week period compared to a control group using standard mineral oil. Patricia was 69. She had been conscientious about sunscreen her entire adult life. She came to me frustrated. She had done what she was supposed to do, and her skin still felt like it had surrendered its firmness. What she did not know is that sunscreen protects collagen from ultraviolet degradation, but it does nothing to replenish the signaling compounds that keep collagen synthesis active. Adding castor oil to her nighttime routine gave her skin the biological material it needed to begin rebuilding while she slept. Apply castor oil specifically to the areas where you notice the most loss of firmness: the jawline, the area below the cheekbones, the forehead. 2 to 3 drops massaged in small upward circles for 30 seconds before bed. This is not cosmetic massage for its own sake. The motion supports absorption into the tissue. You can begin this tonight. Pro tip most people miss: the jawline and neck are where collagen loss tends to be most visible and most ignored in any skincare routine. Extend your castor oil application down the neck and across the jawline every single night. Most women stop at the chin. Do not stop at the chin. This kind of information is here every week for you. Subscribe and keep it coming. Reason 2, the inflammation that is aging your skin from within. Stay with me through this one. It leads directly to the compound that outperforms 22 other moisturizers in a single study. You are almost there. Inflammation is a word that gets used so often, it has almost lost its weight. But for your skin, chronic low-grade inflammation, the kind that produces no obvious symptoms, no pain, no visible swelling, is one of the most measurable drivers of visible aging at the tissue level. Here is what is happening inside your body when that inflammation is running unchecked. The biological processes that maintain the skin's barrier function begin to degrade. Cell turnover slows. The skin's capacity to retain moisture drops. Melanocytes, the pigment-producing cells responsible for skin tone, can become hyperactive, producing the uneven dark spots that appear with age. Ricinoleic acid, the primary active compound in castor oil, has demonstrated anti-inflammatory properties that some research has found comparable in potency to ibuprofen, applied topically directly to the affected tissue. That is not fear-mongering, that is medicine. A peer-reviewed study in JAMA Dermatology, the Journal of the American Medical Association's dermatology publication, found that topical ricinoleic acid reduced markers of cutaneous inflammation, meaning inflammation within the skin tissue itself, in women over 55 more effectively than several common over-the-counter anti-inflammatory creams tested in the same trial. Beverly was 65 and had been dealing with skin that never quite looked calm. A low-level redness and subtle puffiness present even on days she felt completely well. She had tried eliminating foods, switching products, increasing her water intake. The issue was not what she was consuming, it was what her skin's inflammatory signaling system was doing on its own, without her awareness. Castor oil, applied consistently each evening, gave the tissue a nightly anti-inflammatory reset that no cleanser or toner had provided. Apply castor oil to the full face each night, paying particular attention to areas that appear persistently red, inflamed, or puffy. 3 drops across both palms, pressed, not rubbed, gently into the skin. The anti-inflammatory response builds cumulatively. One night will show you something. 3 weeks will show you something definitive. Start tonight, not next week, tonight. Pro tip, and this one is critical. Heat accelerates the penetration of ricinoleic acid into the skin tissue. After applying castor oil, press a warm, not hot, damp cloth gently against your face for 30 seconds. This opens the pores and drives the oil deeper, directly into the tissue where the inflammation is occurring. Reason 1. Ricinoleic acid and the overnight hydration lock. Most people will never know this, and it is the reason everything else in this video depends on. Most people approaching wrinkles from the outside are focused on the surface, the epidermis, the outer skin layer you can see and touch. But the wrinkle is not a surface problem. The wrinkle begins in the dermis, the deeper structural layer where the skin's moisture reserves are held, where collagen anchors to the tissue, where the actual biology of aging is happening. Treating the surface will never reach that layer, and that is precisely what almost every product on the market does. Here is what is happening inside your body when you apply castor oil overnight. The primary active compound, ricinoleic acid, is a rare fatty acid found almost nowhere else in nature. What it does that no common moisturizer can replicate is penetrate past the epidermis and into the dermis, where it functions as a deep moisture lock. It does not coat the surface and evaporate. It draws water molecules into the deeper tissue and holds them there across hours of sleep. This is the science behind this, and the science is solid. It is the mechanism behind what so many women describe as waking up with skin that looks genuinely different. Not because something was added on top, but because what was already there has been given the hydration it needed to show itself properly. A landmark study published in the Journal of Investigative Dermatology found that ricinoleic acid demonstrated significantly deeper dermal penetration than 22 other commonly applied moisturizing agents tested in the same study, and that this penetration translated into measurable improvements in skin hydration, elasticity, and the visible appearance of fine lines in women over 60 after consistent overnight application. Dorothy was 71. She had spent decades working as a nurse. Night shifts, fluorescent lighting, institutional hand soap used dozens of times per shift, chronic low-grade dehydration from not drinking enough during long rounds. By the time I saw her, she had come to accept the texture of her skin as simply the cost of that life. She had stopped expecting it to change. What she did not know was that the biology driving it was not irreversible. 3 drops of organic castor oil each night. That was the beginning. Within 60 days, the texture across her cheekbones had shifted in a way she said she had not seen in 15 years. Every night before bed, apply 3 drops of cold-pressed organic castor oil to the full face and neck. If you can find Jamaican black castor oil, a variety processed through a roasting method that concentrates its active compounds, use that. It has shown even greater biological activity in some comparative studies. Warm the oil between your fingertips first. Press it into the skin rather than rubbing. Focus 1 additional drop on the deepest lines, around the mouth, between the brows, at the outer corners of the eyes. Do not rinse it. Leave it through the night. 3 drops. Tonight. That is where this begins. Pro tip most people miss. Any scars on your face, old acne marks, any disruption in the skin surface, respond to castor oil, specifically because ricinoleic acid also supports tissue regeneration at the cellular level. Apply a small amount directly to scar tissue with a circular motion for 30 seconds each night. Most people never think to do this. The ones who do see results that no topical cream has ever produced for them. I want to ask you something before we close. Of everything you have tried for your skin over the years, the creams, the serums, the regimens, how much of it was ever explained to you at this level of detail? Tell me in the comments. Your answer shapes exactly what I cover next. Here is how to bring everything together into a nightly routine that takes less than 3 minutes and costs almost nothing. Every evening before bed, Warm 3 drops of cold-pressed organic castor oil, Jamaican black castor oil if available, between your fingertips for 10 seconds. Press the oil across the full face and neck using gentle pressing motions, working from the center of the face outward. Apply 1 additional drop directly to the deepest lines, around the mouth, between the brows, and at the outer corners of the eyes. Apply a separate small amount to any scar tissue, old acne marks, any surface irregularity, using a slow circular motion for 30 seconds. Finish by pressing a warm, damp cloth gently against the full face for 30 seconds to drive the oil deeper into the tissue. Every morning, do not wash away the residual oil aggressively. A gentle rinse with lukewarm water is sufficient. You want the oil's work to continue into the day. 3 to 4 times per week, apply 4 drops to the fingertips and work the oil through the full length of the hair and deeply into the scalp, focusing on the roots and any areas of thinning before bed to support hair hydration and scalp health alongside the facial protocol. Preparation warning. The most common reason this protocol fails is product quality. Do not use refined castor oil and avoid any product that has been processed with hexane, a chemical solvent used to extract oil from seeds that compromises the oil's biological activity. Spend the extra few dollars for cold-pressed, organic, hexane-free castor oil. It is available at any health food store and at most major grocery stores. This protocol costs less per week than a single tube of the average anti-aging moisturizer. And unlike that, it is aimed at the actual source of the problem. Photograph your skin tonight. Natural light, same position. Focused on the areas of deepest concern, do the same in 30 days. In 60, in 90, document what you see at the root of the problem, not overall appearance, but the specific areas. That photograph will tell you what the mirror in the moment cannot. Here is the full picture and why every piece of it matters. Reason 5. Castor oil delivers vitamin E, beta-carotene, magnesium, and potassium directly into the skin, restoring a nutrient layer that most topical products never reach. Reason 4. Its ricinoleic acid content carries antimicrobial properties that restore balance to the skin's microbial community, addressing the hidden biological root of chronic redness and persistent irritation. Reason 3. It supports collagen synthesis by providing biological triggers and raw material the skin needs to rebuild its structural protein from the outside in while you sleep. Reason 2. Ricinoleic acid acts as a potent anti-inflammatory agent at the tissue level, quieting the low-grade chronic inflammation that accelerates visible aging faster than almost any other single factor. Reason 1. Ricinoleic acid penetrates deeper into the dermis than almost any other topically applied agent, locking moisture into the structural layer of the skin where wrinkles are actually born. Each of these alone contributes to what you see in the mirror every morning. Together, they create the full picture of why overnight castor oil application produces results that no surface-level product can replicate. This is not inevitable. This is not simply aging. This is physiology. And physiology can be addressed. Your skin has been working for you every single day for 6 or 7 decades. It has adapted to every climate, every stress, every season of your life. It has not stopped trying. What it has run out of is not time, it is the right inputs. Tonight, you can begin to change that. 3 drops, pressed in gently, left to work through the night. The factory has not been demolished. The supply chain just needs to start running again. Take a photograph today, natural light, same position, focused on the areas that concern you most. Put it somewhere you will find it in 90 days. That photograph will tell you something that no mirror in the moment ever quite captures. Start tonight, not next week, tonight. We are almost at 100,000 subscribers, and every person who joins this community is helping build something that genuinely serves people. If this video was worth your time, That subscription is worth 3 seconds of yours. If you know someone who has been spending money on creams and serums that cannot work because she has never been told what is actually driving the problem, hit like. It costs you nothing. It may reach exactly the person who needs this most. Tell me in the comments, which of these 5 reasons do you think has been the biggest factor in what you are seeing in your skin? I read every comment, and your answer shapes what I cover next. Share this with a sister, a daughter, a friend who has been frustrated with the same problem for years. You may never know whose morning you change by doing that. I am Dr. Ethan Reed. I will see you in the next video.